the Logos. My name's Laura Worcester, and I'm your broadcast host. Today, I'm excited to introduce part one of the message, Your 5 Heartbeats. To determine where you might best serve in ministry, examine your heart. Your 5 Heartbeats. Please like and share this message on social media with your friends and family. All right, here is part one of Your 5 Heartbeats.
Colossians chapter 3. Colossians chapter 3. Verses 23 and 24. From the New King James Version of the Bible. Reads as follows. And whatever you do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. Whatever you do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Jesus Christ. Today I'm going to preach from the topic, Your 5 Heartbeats. Your 5 Heartbeats. Talking about your heart, your passion. So just love on 2 or 3 people before you take your seat and ask them if you know what your heartbeat is. Today we are moving on to the second letter of our shape study, where we're talking about our spiritual shape, and we spent the last 2 weeks talking about our spiritual gifts, and today we're moving on to our heart or our passions that are inbred within us. And what we're learning about this study on shape is that God has invested things within us in order to equip us to be effective in serving Him, and in order to equip us to be effective in serving His people. And we learned last week that in order to share your spiritual gifts, you first have to identify those gifts. We learned that you have to, secondly, identify what your motives are and make sure that you're operating in love and it's about God and not about you. And we talked thirdly last week about identifying the need to identify the traps that the enemy might set in our path in order to ensnare us or to hinder us. And today we want to press on to understand how God has shaped us for ministry by looking at our passions, by looking at our heart. And one of the quotes that I want to draw from the reading Mr. Reese is this. He says this: heart is where you are centered, where you desire to serve. It's the altar upon which you wish to place your talents. Giftedness is what you are. However, heart is where you will most likely apply what you are. So you have gifts and you have talents that make up you. Your heart is the area in ministry that you will get an opportunity to apply your gifts and your talents. He goes on to say that heart refers to empathy, attraction, or draw towards a group of people, a field of expertise, or a particular type of service. Evaluating your heart helps you to determine where you might best use your gifts, where you wish to serve, and whom you wish to serve. That's from Eric Reese's book on shape. So when we talk about our heart, when we talk about our shape, it's important to know not only what our spiritual gifts are, but it's also important for us to have an understanding of where our heart is. What are your passions? What drives you? Your passions are not going to be the same as my passions. What drives me is not necessarily going to be the same as what drives you. So if we're going to max out our utility in being used by God, it's important for us to know what our heart is so that we can be used by God in ministry according to those passions, those desires. My heart is to see people do better. When I look at Melvin, what is Melvin's heart? I want to see people do better. Wherever we are, I want to see us do better. I feel like we can always do better. If we're at the top of the food chain, we can still do better. If we're at the bottom of the food chain, Lord knows we can do better. But wherever we are, my heart is to see us do better, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Sometimes we can get content by comparing ourselves to others and saying, as long as I stay ahead of sister so-and-so, I'm good. As long as I pray harder than she does. As long as I study harder than he does. As long as I can quote scriptures better than they do, I'm good. I'm looking at the wrong people by whom to measure myself. I should be looking at Jesus, and he is my standard.
Welcome back. We're just getting started, but I'm already excited about this word. Tune in tomorrow for part 2 of the message, Your 5 Heartbeats. And don't forget to like it and share it with your friends and family. I'm Laura Worcester, and I want you to remember that the sower sows the word, and therefore it is with the same measure you meet that it shall be measured unto you again.